Spider-Man is the everyday person's hero, swinging in to save lives while juggling the chaos of school, work, and relationships. He's defined by sacrifice, loss, and the resilience it takes to save not just New York City, but sometimes the world. But beyond the mask and the amazing feats, he is also a vandal, a public nuisance, a menace. He wreaks havoc on roads, tears apart streetlights, rips up buildings. He's a menace to the entire city. I want that wall-crawling arachnid prosecuted. I want him strung up by his web.
I want Spider-Man!
Jokes aside, the cost of superhero chaos isn't cheap. In Spider-Man's case, it leads to millions in annual damage to the city of New York's public infrastructure. This isn't even including villain-related destruction and battles, but instead only focusing on Spidey's daily commute. Damage from his hard landings onto sidewalks and roadways that crack the concrete and asphalt more than the average tree along a pathway ever could. With there already being a city of problems to fix and maintain, this new problem is added onto the hundreds to thousands of potholes to fill in currently. His web swinging using these buildings in different poles ranging from streetlights to telephone poles are not built nor designed with this different force in mind. Ripping off paint or facade of a building is the best case scenario, with the worst case leading to property destruction. Buildings being ripped apart, and even more dangerously these larger poles tumbling over onto nearby pedestrians or the road itself. But instead of blaming Spider-Man, let's think like civil engineers, so Spider-Man can not only swing through the city without leaving a trail of damage, but actually move faster and more efficiently. Sure, we could go wild with crazy high-tech solutions, but instead let's focus on realistic improvements that New York might actually implement. Let's break the problems and solutions into 3 distinct sections to be worked on, varying massively in the level of scale based on reduction of damage, maneuverability, and city cleanup. Let's first start off with the most pressing issue, reducing the damage to the city. Asphalt and concrete are not designed with the idea that a flying person is using them as a landing pad. So why not go back to the days of our childhood for the solution? Crumb rubber, or more likely for you to remember, the common material used for playgrounds to lessen the impact for when, not if, kids take a fall. This material is extremely durable and is not prone to cracking, commonly used for turf fields and running tracks across the country. Using this in small sections along sidewalks as designated locations for Spider-Man to land and take off from. This would reduce roadway and sidewalk damage while also adding a nicer landing spot. Even better than a small section would be nothing other than an entire rubber pedestrian pathway. This idea is not a far-off hypothetical, but an inspired idea based on a bike tunnel in a recent video of Not Just Bites, with this rubber pathway being a reality, creating a nicer walking or jogging path that inspires pedestrians and creates a nicer pathway. Rubber is not the only solution, with another perfect addition being as simple as grass. Creating green spaces such as parks or grass sections along roadways in New York could act as both a landing pad while also improving the city as a whole. Combining the two could lead to rubber pathways connecting parts, creating a living, breathing network of pedestrian infrastructure designed to liven the city. We could take this one step further and remove roadways altogether in certain areas and replace them with longer strips of green space in parts where roads currently stand. Using this with already current in-place congestion pricing to completely remove cars as one big pedestrian-friendly project.
But by some measures, New York's traffic is more congested than it's ever been.
Enter congestion pricing. Since last Sunday, during most hours, cars crossing into the lower half of Manhattan are charged $9. There's a higher toll for trucks. 1,400 cameras keep tabs on the roughly 150,000 commuters entering the zone by car.
If we can just impact on a proportion of those people, we can make a difference and make it a much better place for everyone.
Danger and risk to people are even more important, however, than any roadway or sidewalk. To reduce this risk, cameras to be set up around the city that can keep track of the location of Spider-Man. This information could then be used to direct traffic, similar to the already real-life intelligent transportation system that tracks and manages traffic in many cities.
What we're looking at here is our central traffic control system. What it does is it allows us to remotely see what every traffic signal in the city of Toronto is doing in real time, and it gives us the ability to go in and change the traffic lights to basically deal with the demands of traffic. Traffic variations and patterns change very dramatically. It's a bit of a balancing act. That on one hand, you're trying to get additional green time for one movement, but now it's at the downfall of other movements in the intersection.
This tracking can be used to set up detour routes for drivers that turn on using light-up signage at intersections that direct them away from the action going on, or to be more involved using pop-up bollards at the end of streets that block off the road entirely, based on the direction of travel of Spider-Man. Even more important than these physical barriers preventing outside entry are preparing people trapped in these dangerous situations, creating an awareness campaign of what to do when a disaster or battle is occurring nearby is critical. Preparing people on how to remove themselves from the situation and prevent themselves from being a liability. This is already a real-life program called CERT, or Community Emergency Response Team, that educates volunteers about disaster preparedness stemming from training by FEMA.
The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT training, teaches basic disaster response skills and how to safely handle emergency situations. It covers topics like disaster psychology, basic medical operations, search and rescue, and disaster preparedness. The CERT training uses hands-on practice and realistic scenarios to help you learn how to use your skills to protect your loved ones and neighbors in an emergency or major disaster.
This program can be combined with creating a more involved citywide volunteer system where its focus is to train average people how to take charge and help in any situation, teaching first aid and how to guide people to safety. Now that we have steps in place to reduce the damage that is caused, it is time to find ways to not just protect the city, but provide Spider-Man with increased maneuverability options. One option is to provide poles specifically designed with Spider-Man in mind that act as both a protection against damage, but also an improved attachment point. These poles could replace these streetlights and telephone poles for usage ranging from being located on roofs to sides of buildings, designing them with a specific material in mind as well to make sure that in any weather, either it be rain or snow, Spider-Man is able to strongly attach with webbing. For ones placed on roof, they can be combined with heaters to keep snow off them and make sure that they are well prepared when the time comes. One of the biggest preventions for Spider-Man swinging around the city are obstacles. One of the biggest most people probably won't even think about are power lines that strung across buildings and roadways. One solution to this is to add marker balls similar to ones used on larger power lines to reveal them to smaller aircraft. This can help to increase their visibility while swinging extremely fast through the city or during times of low visibility like night. However, an even better solution would be to remove them altogether and putting them underground. One thing that could work is to create dedicated spider paths that are located on the most frequently swung through roadways. These specific roadways could have all power lines removed, acting as a connector across the city for easier access. The last stage of city action is the cleanup, targeted at fixing everything in Spider-Man's wake. This includes the creation of a team tasked with the maintenance of these poles mentioned before, making sure they are clean and maintained, but it also includes the removal of webbing material from the sides of buildings and on those poles. On the more infrastructure side, there could be the creation of a specialized team that is tasked with coordinating repairs for damage caused in fights, having a team that is prepared with easy access to shutting off down power lines or turning the water off for burst pipes across the city. Another thing is having easily ready cranes, as mentioned in the Spider-Verse, to quickly clean up damage and get the city back running.
Gutierrez, get the crane, man.
Oh, this is why nobody likes us, man.
Hey, Gutierrez, you can cancel the crane.
This team can be also tasked with fixing roadways quickly with patchwork and filling larger potholes as temporary fixes to buy time for more permanent solutions. There are countless other solutions not mentioned, but working to fix a problem is not one angle orientated. Problems in cities take many different requirements to both improve and protect people, not even just in a fictional world. There is no one solution, as there is no one Spider-Man.